Alright, boys, welcome back to another Maybe Lewis MMA UFC video. So, today we're going to be saying my predictions and talking about some of the fights that's coming up this weekend. UFC Fight Night, Oliveira versus Bautista. It's an alright card. I'm looking at it right now. Some solid fights, but could be better. But let's get started. So, first fight of the night, Klaudia, Sygula versus Priscila, Cachoeira. Not gonna lie, I don't know who Klaudia Sygula is. I do know Priscila Cachoeira. She last fought Jocelyn Edwards and got slept, but before that she beat Dosian Nunes, so she's a pretty powerful striker. She's a mainly striker. I don't know Sygula's fight style. I don't really know much about these fighters, not gonna lie, so we're just gonna say Sygula by decision. Now, next fight up, we got Muin Gafurov versus Jakub Wikłacz. Now, I remember Jakub Wikłacz beat Patchy Mix his last fight. I thought that was a robbery. I thought Patchy won that. But let me check out this Gafurov really quick, who he last fought. So, he last beat Nakamura, the guy who was on road to UFC, I think it was. Yeah. That's all I really know about him. And Wikłacz, obviously, he's like a submission specialist. Obviously beat Patchy Mix, like I said. I don't know much about Gafurov, not gonna lie, or Wikłacz. I'm a casual boys. I haven't really looked at any other fights except for that Wikłacz fight. I probably watched Gafurov fight, just don't remember, but just based on submissions and stuff, and Gafurov probably is a grappler. I don't know, but I'm going to go Wikłacz submission in round 2 because he has a lot of wins by submission. So now next fight, boys, we got Wang Cong versus Eduarda Moura. So Wang Cong, I think last time out, who did she beat? Bruna Brazil, I think. Nah, she beat Da Silva. And before that, she beat Bruna Brazil, I remember. But she got fraud checked before that, I remember. And Eduarda Moura, I think, last time out she fought Lauren Murphy. This is really grappler versus striker. Wang Kong's the striker, Moura's the grappler, so it really depends on who can get their game going. If Wang Kong can keep the fight standing, obviously she has that power to knock out Moura, but if Moura gets it down, she could just lay on her and pray the whole time, She's that type of grappler, or just hold her against the fence. But I do think Wang Kong will be able to keep the fight standing, keep it in her realm. I don't think she'll finish Moura, but I think she'll just be able to pick her apart and land the more effective strikes and just do more damage and get that unanimous decision win. So that's my pick, Wang Kong, unanimous decision. Now, next fight, we got a replacement. Javid Basharat was originally supposed to fight Said Nurmagomedov, but he is now fighting some guy making his debut, Gianni Vazquez. I looked up Vazquez. I think his last loss was to Edward Chairez, which isn't bad. He's gone on like a 4 or 5 fight win streak after that. Basharat, I think last time out, got knocked out by Ricky Simone. Yeah, he got knocked out by Ricky Simone, and lost to Zahabi before that. But he's the brother of Farid. They're both pretty good fighters. Just based off this short notice replacement, I do think that Basharat will be able to implement his game better. Vazquez taking this on very short notice versus a pretty highly skilled fighter. It's a big step up in comp. So I got Basharat round 2 sub. He has a decent amount of wins by submission, and I think Vazquez, I looked up his stats, his only 2 losses are by submission, so that's what made me go with that pick. I haven't really looked at film on Vazquez, but we'll see how he does. Maybe it could be pull up an upset, Now, next fight, boys. We got another female fight. Bruna Brazil versus Ketlen Souza. So, Bruna Brazil, her last fight, she lost to Wang Kong. And I think she fought Shiming Jing. I forget. The one girl who got that head kick knockout on road to UFC. But Souza, last time out, lost to Rodriguez. So, both coming. I think every single girl fight on this card, they're coming off losses, bro. But Bruna Brazil, obviously, is like tall, lengthy striker. She's good at volume. I don't know much about Souza. She looks like a like just a husky striker maybe. But Bruna Brazil is 5'6" with a 2.5-inch reach advantage. Souza is 5'3", 63-inch reach. So just based on that, I think Bruna Brazil will be able to keep this fight at range. Keep this fight, just pick her apart with her striking because she's a pretty good striker. So I got Bruna Brazil by decision. Now, next fight. Ooh, that boy Niko Price grew out his hair. I'm just seeing this now on this fight card. But Nikolay Veretennikov versus Niko Price. Two pretty mid fighters fighting each other. Veretennikov last time out lost to Soriano, lost to Prado, lost to Vanderford. So it's not that good. I think Niko Price. Who was his last fight? Let's check it out. Lost to Smith, I think it's Jakub Smith, and lost to Garumba, beat Morono. So both coming off losses. Obviously, Niko Price, pretty heavy striker. Got a lot of power. Veretennikov, he has a lot of power as well. They both have Veretennikov 9 knockouts, Niko Price 10. So Veretennikov, this is a tough one because they're both really mid. So I could see either one winning. But my gut is going Niko Price. I think he'll just be able to drag it late and get a late finish probably on Veretennikov. So I got Niko Price, round 3, TKO boys. Now, next fight, we got Alex Morono versus Daniil Donchenko. This is classic vet versus rook. Morono, I think last time out, lost to Leo, got finished in the first round, yep. And then Donchenko, his last time out, he beat Cezinando, finished him. I remember that fight. He's pretty good, aggressive striker. I just think this is my first lock of the night, boys. I think Donchenko is going to run through Morono. Morono's taking a pretty decent amount of time off. Donchenko's just up and coming, aggressive striker. Never goes good versus the vets. So I got round 1 knockout Donchenko, my first lock of the night. I just think he'll be able to run through Morono, not going to lie. It might happen in like the first minute or two. But the start of the main card, boys, we got Dustin Jacoby versus Julius Walker. So Dustin Jacoby's has like 2 finishes recently. He beat Lopez and then he beat Petrino, but he hasn't been that active recently. Julius Walker, his last time out, he beat Cachoeira, the guy that everyone beats at light heavyweight. He beat that guy, that one Brazilian. You all know who I'm talking about. But yeah, this is, I think, striker grappler again. Dustin, I don't really know much about Julius Walker, but I know Dustin Jacoby's a kickboxer. He fought in kickboxing. Walker, I don't know much about. Sorry, boys. Probably should have studied more for this one, but I wasn't really that interested in this card, not going to lie, because pretty mid, but I think Julius Walker will probably win by decision. I've seen some pictures of him recently, and he's way more in shape. He looks way more locked in. Jacoby's obviously pretty old. So just based off that, I think Julius Walker will probably get this one by decision. He'll probably just be able to mix it up everywhere. Now, next fight. Now, this is a pretty good fight, boys. We got the Basharat brother, Farid Basharat versus Gene Matsumoto. Obviously, Farid Basharat is undefeated. His last time out, beat Chris Gutierrez. Gene Matsumoto, I'm pretty sure, beat Miles Johns, but I think he got his first loss. Yeah, he lost to Rob Font. Before that, he got his first loss. But this is 2 very high-level prospects at bantamweight. Basharat's really good. He's a good striker, good grappler. Matsumoto's, obviously, I think it's the same. They're really even, I think. But I do think this is Basharat's fight. I think he'll just be able to control it everywhere, striking, grappling. This is my second lock of the night. I got Basharat by decision. I think he'll keep his undefeated streak, beat Matsumoto. Unanimous decision. But, yeah, Basharat will be able to control the fight. I think he'll mainly use his grappling probably in this one. Because Matsumoto is obviously going to try to strike in this one, I'm pretty sure. He doesn't want to go to the ground with Basharat. But next fight up, boys, we got Michael Olasejchik versus Marc-Andre Barriault. So this is a pretty good one. Marc-Andre Barrios, obviously last time out, lost to, I think, Sharabalit, and then Olasejchik beat Mearshark. Yeah, he beat Mearshark his last time out. Olasejchik's really been on a pretty decent win streak after he joined the Fighting Nerds. Marc-Andre Barrios, obviously pretty old. He got knocked out by Pfeiffer, he gave Shara a good fight. He broke his nose, but Shara still controlled that one besides that. Unfortunately, I think Olasejchik's going to run through Marc-Andre Barrios in round 1. I think he's going to knock him out in round 1. Just be too aggressive all over him. He's pretty powerful. Marc-Andre Barrios obviously is going to try to grapple. He's not going to want to strike with Olasejchik. He's going to try to clinch him and shit. But I think this Olasejchik's coming into his own right now. Pretty good career resurgence a little bit. He was on a little bit of a losing streak. But I do got Olasejchik round 1. Knockout, boys. Now, next fight. Jailton Almeida versus Rizvan Kuniev. Almeida's taking this on a little bit of a short notice. He was just trying to stay in the UFC after that terrible performance versus Volkov, where he laid and did nothing and lost because of it. But Kuniev was supposed to fight... Who was he supposed to fight? I forget. But Almeida stepped in on short notice, got his contract renewed. He was just doing that to save his career. But Kuniev, obviously, last time out, lost to Curtis Blades. That was a pretty close fight, but Blades was injured. But it was split. I low-key thought Kuniev won that, but I don't know. It didn't really... I don't really care about heavyweight like that. But Almeida, last time out, lost to Volkov. But I just think Almeida is the best grappler at heavyweight. His jiu-jitsu and his takedowns is just hard to defend for all these heavyweights. He's a step above all of them. I do think he'll submit Kuniev in round 1. Kuniev has pretty good takedown defense, but I don't think it'll be much for Almeida. I think Almeida's a better grappler than Blades, and Blades was injured in that one. I think he would have been able to take Kuniev down if he wasn't. But he was forced to stand in that one, and he still won. So I think Almeida will be able to take him down in round 1 and submit him, boys. Now, for the co-main event, boys. 2 pretty good flyweights. We got Amir Albazi versus Kyoji Horiguchi. Obviously, Albazi last time out lost to Morono, and Horiguchi destroyed Tagir Ulanbekov. But obviously, Horiguchi just came back to the UFC after a long time away. He was in Pride, I'm pretty sure. No, Pride, I'm tripping. I forget what it's called. But something like that. Albazi lost to Morono. I honestly, no lie, boys, think Albazi is the most overrated flyweight on the roster. Let me show you why. So, he lost to Morono and beat Car France, but that Car France was a robbery. Car France won that fight for sure, and then he lost to Morono. So he only beats like low-level flyweights. He hasn't beat like one decent flyweight because that Car France win is a robbery. And Horiguchi destroyed Ulanbekov. I think that Horiguchi is going to destroy Albazi wherever he wants, feet, ground. I think he's going to win this. Just dominantly unanimous decision. He's my 3rd lock of the night, boys. Horiguchi would just be able to do whatever he wants with Albazi. Albazi is so overrated. He has decent grappling, but his striking sucks. Horiguchi is going to dog walk him, boys. Now, for the main event of the evening, boys, we got Mario Bautista versus Vinicius Oliveira. Last time out, Vinicius Oliveira beat Kyler Phillips. Pretty decent win. I thought he could have finished him in that one, but got the UD. And then Bautista obviously lost to Umar. But before that was on a long win streak. Had beat Patchy Mix, Jose Aldo. So, this is pretty interesting. I really like Oliveira. I like his striking style and how he fights. But Bautista, I think, is underrated by most fighters. Most fans. He's pretty good. I think he's better than Oliveira everywhere besides power and probably the striking. Oliveira has a little bit of an edge, but Bautista's striking is pretty underrated as well. This is hard for me, not gonna lie, because I do think Oliveira could clip him. There's always a chance of that with how wild his striking style is and how powerful he is. He could always just knock out Bautista, but I think Bautista, he went 3 rounds with Umar, made it very competitive. You know, Kyler Phillips versus Oliveira. Vinicius kind of gassed a little bit. Not going to lie. He could have gone for the finish in round 3. But I think Mario Bautista got this one by unanimous decision. I just think he'll be able to control the fight, really. You know, he did good versus Umar, so that's what really is putting my mind on him. Like, my heart is going Oliveira, my mind's going Bautista. So I just got Bautista by unanimous decision. He'll be able to control the fight. I think he'll probably grapple in this one, try to take Oliveira down to stifle his striking. And if it stays standing, I don't think he's that bad of a striker to where he'll be able to get clipped by Oliveira, unless Oliveira is really aggressive and like not at bay or something. But I got Bautista by decision, boys. So yeah, those are my predictions for UFC Fight Night, Bautista versus Oliveira. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you disagree, agree. Let me know some of your predictions. And yeah, so I won't be watching most of this card. I'm going to be in Philly this weekend, you know, watching some BKFC. But I might not do a reaction video or fights to make after this one. Then we have that gap between this one to Strickland versus Fluffy. So I might drop a random video in between there, see what I could cook up. But yeah, hope you boys have a good one and enjoy the card.